So today, the day this is being recorded, not the day this is going out, I think this is probably going to go out about mid-August if I keep to my schedule good enough. But today, the day this is being recorded on, is a very significant cultural holiday in my world. Very important to me, has been very important to me for a long time. Today is July 11th, 2024, which is also known as 7-Eleven. It's National Slurpee Day, everybody, and we're over a month late by the time this is going out. But today's Slurpee Day, for those who don't know what the hell I'm talking about, there is a gas station chain. I'm fairly confident at this point 7-Eleven is a national chain. Is it? 7-Eleven's a national chain, right? Hold on. States with 7-Eleven. Okay, so 7-Eleven, according to Google, 7-Eleven is in 38 states and territories in a total of 2,306 cities. Fun fact. Most of the state with the most 7-Eleven locations is California with 1,788. That's a lot of 7-Eleven stores. California is also a very big state. Anyway, so yeah, if you're in one of the 38 states or provinces or whatever that has a 7-Eleven, basically the day 7-Eleven is funny because it's also the name of the store, and you can go into 7-Eleven. Historically, you were able to go into 7-Eleven and get a free slushie, which is it's a Slurpee. If you don't know what it is, I think everybody knows what a Slurpee is. It's like a crushed frozen ice drink. And for the middle of summer in the hot South, it is a very refreshing day. It's a fun day. It's something I've always enjoyed. I liked it as a kid because, you like something sweet. When I was on the road for work a lot, it was very convenient because, again, nice quick stop. I spent a lot of time going through gas stations just by proxy of driving. So it was always nice to stop and get a refreshing Slurpee. And I haven't had one in a few years. I haven't gone in a few years on 7-Eleven. I've neglected my responsibility. I decided today I was like, I think I'm going to do it. I'm going to see if because I know some years they've done it in the past. At least I think they have. It might be a separate event, but in some years in the past, they've made it to where you can get any size. There's been some years where you can bring whatever container you want and fill it with Slurpees. I know because I brought a 5-gallon bucket one time to test that many years ago. They actually did let me do it until the machine ran out, and I think I made some children sad, and that was in high school. Anyway, so I went on their website today because I was like, I just want to see if there's any restrictions or anything special I need to know before I go. And I found out, and I haven't been in probably 2 or 3 years, that apparently now there are 2 caveats that have changed. First of all, in order to claim your free slushie, because you still can get your free slushie, you have to be a 7-Eleven Rewards member. You have to have the 7-Eleven Rewards app, which I don't like. I don't like rewards apps because I always forget the login, and almost every time, if it's got some kind of login procedure I have to go through, I don't want to sit there and deal with it in line at whatever I'm at, which isn't important. It's just a pet peeve of mine, but like, okay, whatever, I can install it once for, a free drink. But the problem I found, it wasn't even the fact that you can only get a small slushie. That's fine. It's free. I don't care. The problem I had is apparently now, if you have the app, you can go any day in July and claim your free slushie. It's just one. You can only claim one slushie. It's a travesty, really, I think. I think this was my first thought. The first thing that went through my mind was this cheapens the holiday. And it was a completely legitimate thought that I had as an adult, that being able to go any day of the month to claim your free slushie cheapens the holiday. I could even get it if you could get one, you could get one per day. But yeah, that's where I'm at. Personally, I think that I have very strong opinions just in life about July 11th, 7-Eleven Day. It's a fun day to be me. So this is Anecdotal Madness. I don't know if anybody's keeping track of episode numbers, because I'm sure not. I think it's episode 5. I think, canonically, I think it's 5. I could be wrong. If I'm wrong, I'll probably edit over it. But anyway, yeah, this is episode 5. It is July now. We're moving along on this recording schedule. For those who don't know, the previous episodes have all been recorded before Stuck on the Internet launched. And yeah, we're 11 days in. Yeah, we've made it. We've made it 11 days of content creation. we haven't lost our minds. It's been fun so far. It's been a great ride. Not going to go into too much detail on that. There is a podcast for that. It's called Good Morning, Good Night. Go check it out. It's a great show. I think by the time this goes out, it'll probably be like episode 3 will be going out or something like that. But yeah, it's been fun so far. We're moving along. It's a nice brisk 90-degree day here in lovely South Carolina. So I thought, you know what? I'm going to go record my podcast where I sit outside and talk to myself. And it's nice today. It's a nice breeze. It's not super humid. I think that's what allows me to be able to come out here and share my thoughts for a little while. So I'm not going to complain. Not going to complain about the weather. Could be much worse. We're currently in the midst of the remnants of Hurricane Beryl, and I know this is going out a month after the hurricane came through, but definitely, I hope everybody that was involved with that is okay and the recovery efforts are going well. That was a hell of an event to blow through. So anyway, that's all. This is not a weather update podcast. This is a podcast where I sit on my own outside in the heat, hopefully eventually in the cool, and share my thoughts on the world and life and what's going on. So I did something last week from when this is being recorded. I feel like I always have to preference that with these podcasts that I record way in advance. And I think as time marches on, I'll probably be a little bit more current with these. I banked up a lot when I first got the idea for the show, and I haven't recorded one in like 2 weeks, mostly because it's been a million degrees outside. But anyways, I did something last week, which is, I want to call it out of character, because that's the best way I think I can phrase it, but I did something kind of out of character last week from when this is being recorded. I went and got a tattoo. And this is the first tattoo I've ever gotten, and I went big, kind of on accident, but not really. Yeah, I've always really, really liked the idea of tattoos. I love it as an art form. I love, I'm big on expression and stuff like that. So it's something I've always wanted to do, but it's something I've put off for a very, very long time, for a number of reasons. And I think the biggest one kind of being I didn't really want to have to worry about dealing with what other people might say about it, which, I'll talk about here in a little bit. The tattoo itself it actually does have some significance to me. It's on my arm. I'll probably post a picture with it for the thumbnail that goes up on YouTube, or maybe I'll put something on the website about it. But it's a American traditional style tattoo with an eagle fighting with a snake, which is very, very. I want to say it's cliche, kind of. Not really, but kind of. It's a style that I personally really, really appreciate. The American traditional style is one I've always really liked. I'm very big into history. I'm very big into history. I'm very big into Americana and stuff like that. I'm, very quietly patriotic. I definitely recognize that the United States has its issues, and, especially right now at the time, we're going through some tumultuous times in terms of politics and geopolitics. But at the end of the day, I love my country. It's a very beautiful country, very beautiful people who happen to disagree on a lot of things. But, it's ultimately, I'm very, very happy to be here. So it's got some meaning to that for me in that sense, and it's also got some meaning. A lot of the representation of it, of that kind of tattoo historically is, and that kind of ideology, that symbology in general, it goes back to kind of fighting with adversity and fighting with being able to overcome negativity. And the eagle kind of represents good, while the snake represents bad or evil, and just kind of triumph over evil or bad things. And for me, it kind of means a lot. This last year, I've talked about it a little bit on this podcast. This last year, I've kind of been going through a lot of reflection, is what I'm going to call it, and a lot of self-reflection, and kind of trying to come to terms with who I am as a person and where I want to be and the life I want to live. And I think it's been a very, very difficult process for a lot of instances. There's a lot of things that I've had to really have some very difficult talks with both people in my life and personally. Some of that I'm sure I'll talk about in time, but a lot of it I don't really have any interest in talking about right now on a podcast that goes out to the public. But one of the biggest things that I can talk about that I have kind of come to terms with is the fact that I have made a lot of decisions in my life, and a lot of the things that I've done for sake of kind of keeping the peace. Like I said, for a long time I didn't want to get a tattoo, mostly because I didn't want to worry about what other people would say about it. And not necessarily that I'm worried about the, oh, that's an interesting styling or that's a silly styling. I don't care about that. Just more the general idea of, I know I've got a handful of people in my life who would be kind of adverse to me having a tattoo. And I spent a lot of time worrying about that. And this definitely is not just specifically this tattoo. It's a dozen and a half other things in life. But I spent a lot of time worrying about what people would think, what people would say. And I've spent a lot of time in my life trying to do things in a fashion that will prevent people from making comments on things, or, making sure that people always approve of what I do and what I say and how I act and how I dress. And, to an extent, most of my life hasn't changed that dramatically from all of this. But for me, it was a big step forward in a sense of it's time to overcome that. I believe very strongly it's good to take other people's opinions into consideration. And it's very good, especially people that are close to you. My wife is very supportive of it, but if she said, it's not necessarily something that I want, her opinion weighs more than, some other friends and family that I have. But just in general, trying to do things for sake, behaviorally, trying to do things for sake of making myself happy instead of hoping that I'll be happy because other people aren't going to look negatively on things that I would want to do. And there's a lot of other different things that I'm trying to change and get better about, and just in general. But I think this one was a big step forward for me personally. I'm a really big fan of how the tattoo turned out. I'm a big fan of the people that I worked with to make it. It's a fantastic shop that I worked with. If you're in the South Carolina area, it's the Blind Tiger Tattoo in Greenville, South Carolina is where I went, and they are a fantastic bunch. They're a great group of guys in there. It was a fantastic experience. I will definitely be going back. Like I said, tattooing is something I've been very interested in for a long time. Ooh, it's cicadas. I don't know if it's going to pick up or not, but it's definitely cicada season here in South Carolina. But anyway, yeah, it's been something really big for me. It's something that was very important for me to do. I'm very glad that I did it. I love the way it turned out. And I kind of hope talking about this a little bit helps some other people realize, kind of like I have recently, that you live your life for you, do what you want to do for you. Definitely take other people's opinions into consideration. Don't completely disregard people's opinions, but if it comes to a point where you don't want to do something simply because someone is going to say, "Oh, I wouldn't have done that," just do it. It's your life, live it. Make sure that we have an extremely finite amount of time. And I know this is a very cliche thing to say, but we have an extremely finite amount of time in this universe. Spending that finite amount of time holding yourself back because you don't want to listen to other people's comments on what you do it's a bad thing. And it takes a lot to be able to overcome that. And I'm not going to pretend like I've come close to overcoming it, but taking small steps in a good direction will definitely go a very long way. Well, now that we've gotten the emotional part of this episode out of the way, I'd like to move on to the less emotional part of this episode, which is Chris's Music Corner. This is a segment I'm very excited about. I've been giving a lot of thought to it. Oh boy, I'm probably the next episode's probably going to be another music episode. I'm going to be honest, because the more I've thought about the last episode, the more I wanted to go back and talk about music more. There's probably gonna be a lot of music episodes. I really like music, but for this week's Chris's Music Corner, I'm gonna direct you all really not necessarily just to a song, but to an entire artist who has a very brief discography. He's just kind of recently, I think within the last or really since COVID, probably the last 4 years or so, he's really been breaking out into the music scene. This is a Canadian, I want to say kind of pop rock artist by the name of Talk, Talk. I'm a very big fan of his music. I actually I think last week's Chris's Music Corner was also brought to us by Instagram. I stumbled upon him through Instagram Reels last year before he was just, I think he'd put out 2 or 3 singles, and he's released an album since then. I believe it's been within the last year called Lord of the Flies and Birds and Bees. And the whole album, I highly recommend listening to the entire album through in its entirety. It is a phenomenal album. It is one of the very few albums that I have really, really, truly felt a connection with each song, and every song in the album you can really tell he is putting his all into. He's an extremely talented artist with some extremely talented backing instrumentalists. I'm really looking forward to following his career, because I really hope it doesn't stop here, but you can tell just in every song he puts so much emotion and so much power into the vocals, and the instrumentals and everything in the background is just fantastic. The whole album is great. Like I said, I definitely recommend listening to all of it, but if you only have to listen to one song on the album based on a recommendation from this podcast, I do highly recommend the song A Little Bit Happy. Very, very good song. I think I definitely identify with it a lot as someone who struggled with a lot of mental illness issues and depression in the past. I think that the song kind of resonates with me because it kind of touches on a lot of those notes, and kind of seeing yourself how other people that care about you see yourself. So it's a very beautiful song, and again, the entire album is phenomenal. He is a very, very talented artist. I definitely recommend checking him out. Anyway, everybody, thanks for tuning in to this week's episode, another wonderful episode of Anecdotal Madness. My name has been Chris, and if you enjoyed this, be sure to check out all the other episodes. You don't have to listen to them in order. If this is your first episode, thanks for coming by. Follow us, rate us, like us. I say us, it's just me. Follow the podcast, rate the podcast, like it, subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you like this, check out some of our other stuff. We got a whole mess of shows. I'm not the only one here. Stuck on the Internet is alive and well. We've got a fantastic group of people here making some really, really cool podcasts. I think around the time this is coming out, we should be about to wrap up Pip Boys for the Fallout Show Season 1. It's been a ton of fun. We're actually recording the final episode tonight. I'm really excited. So yeah, definitely check out our other stuff. Check us out at stuckontheinternet.com. And of course, you can find everything we do wherever you find podcasts. Thanks, everybody.